Welcome to our 24th episode of the DMV Autocross Podcast. I'm Danny Kao.
Hey, Danny, and I'm Atta Tabesh. Thank you for joining us on episode 23. Now that the autocross season in the DMV is officially over, what happens if you're still bored and you still want some racing fix, Danny?
Well, the racing season never ends. I still autocross 3 times in the last 2 weeks. There are more track events at Summit Point, NC Car, Dominion, and VIR. If you want to drive a few hours, Winter Refrigerator Bowl is just starting at Summit Point. Go-kart places are always open. And of course, you can always do sim racing. Oh, and season-ending banquet, it's going on too, which is what we're going to talk about next.
How many times do we tell our listeners that, like, well, now that the season's over, and then we're like, but
the season never ends. I mean, I think one of the episodes we talked about before was this is the time of year I try to win every event so other people actually think that I'm fast. It's because everybody think that the season's ending. No, the season's still going, and the new guys are always going to be at these events, right?
Exactly.
So it's always good to create a good impression that make other people think that you're faster than you are. So run more in the winter, and don't show up with corded tires and use that as an excuse.
Don't do that. You mentioned the season banquet. Let's talk about that for a second. The WDCR SCCA season banquet is on January 18th, 2025. At Dominion Raceway in Woodford, Virginia. That's going to be between Fredericksburg and Kings Dominion on exit 118 off 95. Hopefully we're all familiar with that highway. This is an evening affair, which includes appetizers, dinner, dancing, a DJ, cash bar, and multiple region program awards presentation. This banquet is open to all WDCR SCCA members, including those involved in autocross, road racing, HPDE, time trials, and rallycross. Discounted hotel rooms will be available at the track, and the tickets are $50 per person for the event. To reserve a room, please call 1-800-HILTONS and mention the SCCA banquet or use code 900. To register for the banquet, please go to motorsportsreg.com. And the hotel, I think we also need to mention, it is the True by Hilton on Dominion Raceway.
Do you want to give it a review, Ada, real quick?
I like it. I've actually stayed there a bunch of times. Absolutely no complaints from me. They let me bring my little doggy one time.
Yeah, $3 and a dog. They were all there.
Yeah, we had a great time, and they have a little pool. I don't know. We had a blast. I don't know. It was a great time. Good hotel.
Did you use code 900?
I did not. I actually just booked on my app. I have a little Hilton. So my wife and I, we do different things differently. I have a Hilton app. She has a Marriott app. And so depending on who's booking, we don't like even talk to each other. Like I won't even give her a key if we're going to Hilton, and she won't give me a key if we're going to Marriott. Like we're on different sides of that battle.
So how much was the room? Do you remember?
Not too much. Yeah, I would have remembered. I don't remember if it's reasonable. I don't remember. When it's unreasonable, when the experience is like jarring, I remember.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give the listeners to say, okay, here, if they charge you $1,000 per room, and Ada goes, no, I got it for $130.
Yeah, no, it's really no. It's a true. They're like, I think the point of the true is to be fairly inexpensive, like overall. So okay, inexpensive.
That sounds good. So here you heard it. That's the Ada review of the True Hotel by Hilton.
I will say this. The Trues don't have carpeting, so it's a tiny bit louder than other hotels that do have carpeting. So, if you're with someone that snores, maybe bring some earplugs or something, because the carpet helps the snoring and the noise. That's
right. So, and again, the noise that you heard from the hotel most likely were generated by Ada.
Yes.
All right.
I don't snore. I'm just saying.
Well, it's probably from the doggy.
Yes, the dog does snore a little bit, actually.
All right, we have another banquet. So PCA Chesapeake will be holding their autocross social on Saturday, December 14th. 2024 now, this time, not 2025, at La Posta Pizzeria and Italian Kitchen at Severna Park. The event starts at 11:30 a.m. Please join them to have fun and socialize with friends who race with the Chesapeake region of PCA during the 2024 season. So throughout the season, points have been awarded to each race and the top drivers in the various Porsche classes, and the trophies now be awarded to the class champions. All participants must register for the Autocross Social by December 11th. So register on motorsportsrage.com. Registration closed at midnight on Wednesday, December 11th. Seating is limited to 70 people. Please send related questions to the Autocross Chair, Greg Harkey, at chspcaautocross@gmail.com. We will also provide other clubs' autocross parties here when more information is announced.
Yep. I recommend registering for the PCHS Peak immediately. Like, don't put that one off. Based on when we get this episode out, it's going to be close. So just register right away.
Yeah. And by the way, I think the organizers do want to, I don't think that they want to apologize. They basically said that if you race in a non-Porsche class, you will be receiving an honorable mention, but no trophies. So sucks to be you, non-Porsche people.
Maybe you should have bought a Porsche.
I don't have one.
Maybe you should have bought a Porsche, okay? Don't cry about not getting a trophy if you ain't got the right car. That's
well, it's pretty funny. I registered my Miata in GRD6 the whole entire time, so I don't have a trophy.
You didn't take the 911 to the PCA?
No, event? Because if I go, like David Critcher will be crushing all of us on the weekly basis anyway. So there's no chance for me.
Yeah, but you have to take the Porsche to the Porsche Club event.
Kind of, but you're running against Dave Critcher.
Okay, you know what?
He's young, rich, and good looking. I mean, look at me. I'm like the opposite of all three.
I just figured out a really good plan for next year.
Yeah.
I gotta go to like Amazon or eBay and find like a Porsche symbol and then be able to like remove it. I'll like swap it on and off.
That's
so
right.
I can have a Porsche.
That's right. Yeah, you can have a Porsche 913.
Is that a funny joke for Porsche guys? Are they all laughing right now?
I have no idea. But your car can be a Porsche 913.
Because there's a 911 and then like
no, there's a 912.
Then I should be the other way. I should be like a 910.
Yeah. Minus 911. How's that?
Yeah. That's good.
All right.
Okay, so we actually had 3 autocross events that are within reasonable driving distance from the DMV. We're stretching a little bit, but
2.5 hours, 3.5 hours.
Exactly. We stretch a little. I think no one's going to have any issues with this.
Well, you got nothing else to do, man.
Got nothing else to do. Exactly. Yeah. So Saturday, November 16th was the season finale for the New Jersey SCCA autocross region. DC area sent a large contingent of national autocrossers to the Meadowlands, and the course was by far the best for Danny this year. It was fast, fun, and required excellent driving to go fast. Our own STX national champion Cody Hunt took the top packs of the event, and here are the top 10 packs times. Cody Hunt, John Caserta, Rusty English, Gary Sue, Ken Halseel, Eric Simmons, Sam Strano, Tala Sadiq, Pat Salerno, and Ed Lange. The top 10 fastest times are Ken Halseel, John Vittenvos, Gary Sue, Brian Garfield, Sam Strano, Tala Sadiq, Pat Salerno, Cody Hunt, Mark Levance, and John Caserta.
So just in case you haven't been to a local NJR event, that is like a national event every time.
Well, these are all national names.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I was 32nd. And awesome. I drove as hard as I possibly can. So that tells you, the quality of driving over there is, right? It's quite amazing. All right. So on Sunday, November 17th was the last VMSC event at the Virginia Motorsports Park. The course was widely considered the best VMP autocross of the year by the locals. It was an excellent course too. Nice. The weather was super nice and very enjoyable. The top 10 finishers are, first one is Stephen Holzer, then Brian Garcia, Tim Arrow was third, Stephen Fair is fourth, Jeff Chenery was fifth, Philip Irving is sixth, David Rusk seventh, Ryan St. Louis finished eighth, Alec Nelson is ninth, and Ron Paquette is 10th.
That's awesome. Last Sunday, SCC, that's the Tidewater Sports Car Club, held the final event at VMP also. The weather was in the low 60s and the course was full of high-speed transitions, and it was super fast. Alan, Danny, and Mo, as well as a few Virginia regulars like Chris Kahn, Amanda Joe, and Mr. Banks were in attendance. Top 10 packs times are as follows. Number 1, Christopher Kahn. Number 2 goes to Will Teller. 3rd, Tim Arrow. 4th, Ted Collier. 5th, Brian Garcia. 6th went to Alan Claffey. 7th went to Danny Kao. We'll circle back to this in a second. 8th went to Rick McNally. 9th went to Joshua Henderson. And 10th went to Amanda Bursky. this concludes our racing report of the 2024 season. Again.
Yeah.
Also, Danny, let's talk about this 6th, 7th here. Is it true?
Yeah.
You set up this car. You gave this car to Alan. You sold this car to Alan. Alan is now mastering this car in such a short period of time. Like, he didn't race an ND before, right?
I know he drove Trevor's car for 5 years.
That's
Yeah,
I'm like
4
I'm
years.
over here
maybe?
mind blown how he's going. So he's actually raced an ND longer than you have then.
Yes.
That's okay. I'm good. I'm done. All right.
Yeah.
We're good. Let's move on to the next segment.
Plus, as a good co-driver, you cannot beat the owner of the car anyway.
Well, that's like an unwritten rule, right?
Yeah, like when Alan drive with Trevor's car, and Alan, Trevor is the car owner.
Yeah.
So Alan did his best not to beat Trevor.
Were you
to beat him like a drum?
Were you? Oh my God. Were you given little break jabs before?
No,
the
I just suck.
line?
I couldn't be Alan.
You could have used that just
No,
like you could have said you were.
on my last run, I actually had a half a second advantage by the turnaround.
Wow.
Yeah, my last run was good because
Then what happened?
on my last run, when I went through the slalom, I was on the limiter like early, and I just all the way over there, right? And then I came around the turnaround, and I did the turnaround, tiny bit, slower off pace, but when I look at the data, it's the same speed. And then I got a little overzealous. I was like, okay, I gotta go. I just mad the throttle, and then I probably hit a bump or something, and then I spun.
Oh, you spun, full on spun.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I couldn't save it.
Okay.
I spun right there, and I go, oh man, that run could have been good. But both of us were. I think I was a full second behind Will Teller.
Wow.
Well, Will Teller was a national champion, so there's no shame in that, and so is Tim Arrow. So yeah, but it would be a little bit closer if I didn't spin. But I don't think I would have catch these two anyway. So yeah.
All right, you ready to give our listeners a special treat?
Yes. I don't know if this is a special treat. Maybe this is a special punishment.
Special treat or torture? You get to pick.
All right. Since we're officially finished the 2024 DMV Autocross season, we're in silly season now.
Danny, time out. Can we stop saying since we're officially finished the season? We've said this for like 4 Autocross podcasts.
Right, okay, there's no finish of the Autocross season. We're just getting cold now. Anyway, we're in this thing called the silly season.
Yeah.
Right? Which means that when bored autocrossers argue over everything, from who is faster, whose car is best, and of course, fighting over rules. Right? Nothing generates more fighting spirit than the SCCA autocross rules.
Nothing.
And nothing generates more online comments than monthly release of the SCCA autocross rules notification called Fastrack.
Fastrack is just like, it's everyone's symbol to get online and start fighting.
That's right. When somebody says Fastrack, it's time to fight, right? So Fastrack is where the rules get introduced, and the feelings are hurt by the words, thank you for your input. So Alan, Ada, and I gather the night of when November Fastrack got released, and mumble and talk nonsense for about an hour. So if you have better things to do, I recommend fast forward an hour and skip this altogether. Or if you just want to kill some time, and then you can sit and enjoy 3 of us argue and change nothing.
Danny, have we ever officially apologized to our listeners? Because I feel like this would be one time where we can...
Well, we apologized one time for the contents that we were about to provide. So this time, on behalf of me, Ada, and Alan, we apologize in advance.
So sorry for the next hour of your life.
So sorry, and enjoy it.
Enjoy. Yeah, I mean, some people enjoy that stuff. Like they'll go to YouTube, Danny, and they'll be like crash compilation, right? They'll look for stuff that's not aesthetically pleasing, or maybe they'll search for like school bully beats up kid. Maybe some people like watching stuff like that.
That's
like,
right.
I don't know. I don't. But some might.
If you're the type that likes to be abused,
if you
here you are. Enjoy.
If you're on YouTube searching for like none gets jumped, like you're gonna enjoy the next segment.
That's right. I hope you guys are getting the sense of the segment now. We try to end this, but we're not. I said the word enjoy 3 times already, and this just continues.
I'm done. Can we cut?
All right, we cut. Enjoy.
So bad. All right. So for our feature of the week, we have an Alan, but also we'd like to cover an interesting, informative, or a fun topic. We say that every time, and almost all the topics are interesting. They're all fun. Let's get to information.
This one's not fun.
This is informative. Okay, so we'll let the people decide. Some people enjoy structured rule set, right? So,
Yes.
Danny, you're a free spirit, right? You're a bird that loves flying around.
Actually, what was really funny is I have a good friend of mine that he got married 35 years ago. I knew his wife for 35 years. And for 35 years, she thinks I'm an outlaw.
You are an outlaw.
No, I'm not. I'm the one that follows all the rules. Like three of us, if we walk into an intersection and the lights are red, you guys are walking across. I'm not. I'm staying there until it turned green.
That's just because you don't want to get hit by a car, Danny. That has nothing to do with rule following. You just don't want to get run over.
There's a difference between following the rules and self-preservation.
Yeah, Alan and I are trying to get hit. We're trying to find
I buy that.
we're trying to find the University of Maryland bus because I heard if we get hit by the school bus, we get free tuition. Then we can go back to school for free.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I want to get hit by a Harvard bus,
I heard that's what plays really hard.
Baby steps.
Get hit by a bus just
hit one bus at a
to
time.
get C's and D's. No thanks.
Maybe get an undergraduate bus hit before I go to a graduate bus hit. All right. Okay,
Anyways,
so we made it
this
fun
feature-
now. Now let's go to not fun stuff.
Well, some consider this fun. This feature of the week, we are going to discuss something. It's specific to SCCA. It is the Fast Track. However, while it's specific to SCCA, it has ripple effects through the entire autocross community. Some organizations use it for packs, some organizations for registration. You know how it is. You guys get it. Not everyone, but it's such a large entity that the SCCA rule set does kind of trickle down to the other clubs. Let's get right into it. We got the Fast Track. This is brand spanking new. We've read over the Fast Track, and we want to kind of discuss that for the feature of the week with you guys. So I hope you're really excited and buckled in for what I think is going to be a great feature of the week. Danny might not agree with me. He's over there yelling and screaming already. He is not
I don't
happy.
care about rules.
And so for a special treat, we brought Alan in because, you know, it's Alan.
It's me.
It's Alan.
The
All right,
voice
so
of
Alan
reason.
wasn't here. You would just see me yelling at everything.
Yeah.
You're not yelling at everything, but
Just got to keep them on the road.
right. But there's definitely some. I've seen a little bit of feedback online on like Facebook. We have people that were on the events board actually replying and trying to clear things up. There seems to be a few parts of the Fast Track that maybe not everyone's too clear about, and hopefully we can clear some of it up for you guys if you're listening. Let's get started right at the top. Danny, I'm going to point to you right now. What's the first one that's on your mind? I know there's a few topics we're going to get at, but what's the first one you want to talk about?
Rule is a tough thing, right? Especially for somebody with that English as a second language. So every time when I read through it, I didn't know what I was reading.
I don't think you're the only one, Danny.
And when I saw something confusing, I got to read like 5 times to say, am I really reading what I'm reading? Right? So I guess this particular rule on the very first page is talking about the definition of the class type.
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about the class type. And then I do want to let our listeners know we will have some tire talk. So hold on tight, buckle up if you're driving. There will be tire talk in this episode. So hang in there. So, but first, let's talk about the class types, Danny. So they've decided to remove supplemental, right? They're going to add 2 classes and set us up. They're adding developmental and exhibition. They've tried to define these classes a little bit. What does that mean? What does that mean for us? What's it mean for nationals? What's it mean for our DMV region, right?
Well, for everybody who doesn't go to autocross events or SCC autocross events, this means nothing.
Correct.
Right. The class type means nothing.
Class type means nothing. Correct.
Yeah. So the biggest difference, or if for people who care about the class type, is when you go to nationals, what if you can win a jacket or you don't win a jacket?
Okay, so that's Nats. That's Nats. What about the regional events? I know we have some sometimes in DC or New York.
It doesn't matter because a class is a class. So I know that at least for the DMV area with the SCCA anyway, if at the end of the year they will reward a champion for the class.
Yeah.
Right. But they don't differentiate what if it's a supplemental class champion or a regular class champion.
Which is nice. I like that.
Complicate things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. If
they would be pointing at Alan to say, you're not legit.
Yeah, Alan, you might not get a jacket.
No, I'm going to get a gray jacket instead of a black jacket.
No, you will not get
People
any.
look at me and say, Well, he did okay, but he wasn't in a real class.
Yeah, a friend of mine told me a long time ago when I first started here. I have no idea. Maybe he was just joking around since I don't know how to speak English. He told me that in the Scottish family, right? The father, let's say the father is Alan, right? The son is called McAllen, right?
Okay.
The grandson is called O'Allen, and the illegitimate son is called Fitzallen. Wow, that's what I was told, right? That's my first English lesson. Right. So Alan,
they did you a disservice.
Alan, if the class type applies to the local DMV rules and SCCA or WDCR, Alan will be Fitzallen.
I was wondering how you were going to tie that back.
Yeah, I was wondering where's this going.
He's an illegitimate champion.
It did, yeah, I got that. It didn't disappoint. Thank you for that.
Nicely done.
Oh, it's a roundabout way to do it.
Thank you, my Scottish friends. All right.
Yes. All right. So
okay. So
locally, it doesn't make any difference. But what happened is if you're in a regular class, when you win a national championship, you get a jacket. That's why Cody Hunt gets a jacket or John Vinavas gets a jacket.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
In the previous years, there's not a developmental class or a exhibition class. They're all supplemental classes. So Brian Garfield won XU, which is a supplemental class.
Right.
So instead of getting a jacket this year, he's not getting a jacket, but he might get some pants.
Okay. Are you going to give him those pants?
He's going to win a windbreaker.
Oh, my
That's
goodness. Right. So let's talk real quick about the developmental class, the first one of the two. And it seems like they've set up a path to create a true class from the developmental class.
Yeah. I think what they did is they put every class into developmental class except FSAE.
Okay.
Right. So now FSAE is in what they call an exhibition class, means that there's no path forward to get any kind of a jacket.
Okay.
Right. So developmental class has a possibility or a path to become a regular class. Okay. So in this document, they say specifically to determine whether the developmental class will achieve national status, the class will have to be evaluated whether it, one, has at least 25 participants for 2 of 3 consecutive national championship, or has at least 40 participants, right, in a national championship, or fits a long-term vision of the continued growth of solo according to introductory section 123 of the solo rules, whatever that rule is.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know what that third one is.
I'm anti-rule, so I'm not going to read that rule. No,
it seems like the scapegoat. So if the second year the class doesn't have 25 participants, it's dead on arrival, but it seems like they made themselves a little backdoor with a long-term vision. Third line.
No, that is the one that the powers to be of SCCA says, you only have 3 people in the class, but I want to make you a jacket because I like you guys.
Yep.
That's what that is. It's like a resume where it says, or anything that any job that's not listed in your job responsibility, right? Or anything required as as it needs to be, right? As needed.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Okay, cool.
Right. So what's interesting is for 2025, now they have CAM C, CAM S, CAM T, XA, XB, XU, CSX, CSM, and in any corresponding ladies class, they're all now developmental class.
You just listed off the top 8 coolest
That's every
classes,
class.
7
That's in
coolest
supplemental
classes. Those are the best classes.
The cool classes.
Yeah, with the exception of FSA. That's right. That's
They're
the
cool.
class that we all 3 of us are in. Yeah.
Younger folks. Okay, Alan, we call them the youth of America.
Younger nerds.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, younger nerds. Yeah.
Send all your letters to.
So what this means is all of these classes now have the potential to become a national class if you have 40 participants.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That means that XA is
National class.
Is the
They
national
already
class.
did it.
Starting
Yeah.
2025. So they're
Yeah,
not
but it
counting
doesn't start
20.
until 25.
Right.
So you have to reach more than 40 people in 25
They will. It's the best class.
before it becomes a regular class. Or what they can say is this doesn't meet the long-term vision of it. So we want to see 3 years consecutive like this.
So
that's
sad.
also possible.
Yeah, that's unfortunate if that happens. Because they set the number as 40 for a reason. So why not set it higher if you don't want to let them be a class?
Oh, they used to have requirements 50 for 3 consecutive years when, at least that's when it was first proposed, when SSR was going to get kicked out and then become a street tire class. They created SSR, and initially they said that it's 3 consecutive years of 50 participants.
That is never going to happen.
Yeah, it went to 35.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it went to 35, and ultimately it dies. About 7-8 years
See
later.
them closing registration at 48.
Yeah, or something like that. So that's what this rule is.
Cool.
Right. All this rule does is it seems like it allows people to have an opportunity who are running CAMs or XA, XB, XU to have one day have an opportunity to get their jacket if they win.
Good.
Right.
Yep.
So it's really written for one person per year.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one jacket in each class, so yeah.
That's right.
Sure.
Yeah, it's only written so you add all those classes together, and I don't think CAMT is going to reach the 50. I mean the 40 participants. Yeah. But it has an opportunity to make it
make
2 or 3 consecutive years, right? Yep. So starting from 2025, if I think both CAMT and S are not going to hit 40, they're gonna reach over 25. So basically, they might become a legit class, in 2028 or later, 2029, really, right?
Understood.
And then CAM-C and XA would probably definitely go over 40.
Come on, they're gonna be huge.
Right.
Every year it gets bigger and bigger. It's so much fun.
So the interesting part is in 2026, would they just allow them right in or not allow them in? It would be hard to say.
It would be unfortunate if they didn't. Unfortunately, that's the only thing I got for it. It's not
XP now. Yeah. XP probably won't. Will probably need three straight years. What's the participants in this year?
I don't remember. I meant to look that up, and then
there was a bunch, but I don't know.
I thought it was in the 20s and 30s.
Yeah, I think it was 20s and 30s.
Yeah. So CXS, CSM, no way. I don't see how they're going to meet that number.
No way yet. There is steam rolling behind them. There's momentum behind those classes. People talk about them, but I hear what you're saying, and I think
it'll be very difficult.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult unless
especially that now they're allowing NC into STR now. Right. So they're robbing each other from the same class, right? That doesn't make much of a sense to me, but that's exactly what they did. So I think CXX is, my guess is one of those classes kind of dead on arrival.
Well, you say that, but there's a chance. Like say there's a hot spot of it, maybe Texas, maybe Florida, where it just catches fire and there's 10 of them, and then it spreads to Georgia or where. I'm just saying there's a. I
don't think so.
I'm just trying to be positive.
Yeah. I mean, CSM could be interesting, but now with those cars are selling for $20,000. So, I mean, who would want to buy a 15-year-old Mustang for $20,000?
So anyway,
that's hard, right?
XB last year had 29 in open. So we're
good.
XA has 50 something, right?
XA was 56 in open.
Nice.
Yeah. No, XA will make it. So I'm being realistic. Yeah. I think CAM-C and XA are the only two that's probably going to be a jacket class. But then again, if that's the case, that means that we're only talking about 2 people.
2 jackets.
Yeah.
Right.
And then how many people don't want those to be jacket classes?
I don't think there's no reason for anybody who doesn't want that to be a jacket class, unless somebody has a bunch of jackets, think that they're not deserving of, the class is not deserving to become a jacket.
They don't want the classes getting serious enough to attract people chasing jackets.
No, I think it's more like they don't want people to just any random guy driving anything can get a jacket. So now that diminishes the status of their other people's jackets. I think it's more like that. Okay. Right. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Right. Because I mean, a lot of people are like adamant about this thing doesn't deserve to be a jacket class. Right. But the reality is there are already 74 jackets being given out every year.
That's true. There's been jacket inflation.
That's right. So in 10 years, they give out 740 jackets.
Maybe this will be my year.
That's right. Like Alan, how many years have you been to Solo Nationals now?
Oh, 13 or 14.
Right. So you take 14 times, let's say 70.
I'm due.
Yeah. How many is that? Well, that's 980 jackets. That's almost like a jacket for everybody.
That's a lot of jackets.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think those like a special jacket thing is that boat has sailed.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of boats that have sailed, let's talk a little bit about EVs. Do we want to talk about?
Oh my God!
I saw the 20-page EV rules. I'm like,
are
there that many EV cars?
A lot of red lettering there.
There are certain things I read and I kind of glossed over it because they're talking about you can't tow your EV with the brakes on to regenerate your battery while in the paddock. And I was like, I can't even with that.
I didn't know that was a thing.
You're talking about autocrossers. They do all kinds of stuff.
There's like 6-headed chess happening here.
Yeah.
If you're gonna flat tow your EV with someone in it pressing the brakes to re-energize it between runs, it's wild to me. Like, just
That's kind of interesting. Hey,
do it now though. It's illegal.
So if
Illegal.
if we have co-drivers, can I force my co-driver to try to regenerate the power, to beef up the runs? So
that is not illegal. Based on what I've read, that is not only it's legal, it's encouraged.
really.
Yeah, it says, hey, if you got a slower co-driver, make them just stand on the brakes the whole run.
I'm not signing up for that. You're on your own, Danny.
I don't know. I don't know anything about EVs.
Me either.
All right. Okay, yeah, but there it's a lot of rules about charging. If you have an EV and you plan on going to Nats, take a gander at this because there are it's page after page after page of EV rules. Most of them having to do with the battery, charging it, and then modifications as well, I think. So kill switch stuff, relay stuff, gauge wire specifications. It's pretty serious. Grounding wire specifications. Yeah, it keeps going. I've been scrolling for 2 minutes now, and I'm still... Here we go.
Are they talking about like different classes based on, like how many batteries this thing has?
Oh, no.
I'll be real with you, Danny. At one point, my eyes went like cross-eyed, and I couldn't actually even tell.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna say 0 to 1,000 lithium battery will be in EV1.
EV1,
1,000 to 2,000 lithium batteries in EV2.
Another 24 jackets added to the count.
Let's go. I don't know. All I know is that all those jackets, if you see them at nationals, I guess it's pretty shocking to see that many.
Well,
jackets.
so do we know anybody?
No.
Do we know any?
Bad at it.
Friends of mine, friends of ours that drives an EV and race an EV. So
Glenn did.
So anyway, if you have an EV, you can enjoy page 2 all the way to page 10 of the new Fastrack.
I love it. I love it. It's just a lot of rules and everything's new, so it's red font and it's just hard to kind of read the red on red. It's not black on white. It's red on white.
Well, I mean, at least maybe it's anticipation of the battery fire. That's why it's red.
Oh. We're moving on immediately.
Thank you.
By the way, Summit Point still does not allow EV to run. So
we're moving on immediately.
Public announcement for EVs. EVs are not being allowed at Summit Point. So no EVs. Sorry.
No EVs.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Do we want to just read through it a little bit about the allowances for SSC? They're allowing stainless steel brake lines. Nothing special there.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Denny to have an outrage over every little thing. No, not brake lines.
This is interesting.
And I think he would like it because they're allowing more. They're allowing.
To force everybody to spend $100 on brake lines.
No, it doesn't. No, it's fine. Oh my god.
An advantage I don't have.
Well, Alan, you forgot the worth of SRFs when you try to change lines.
Oh, geez, you gotta flush the brakes.
Yeah, then you got to spend $80 on getting the bleeder.
The sport
Unless
just
you can
gets
manage
more
to get
expensive.
your friend or your spouse to sit over there and try to keep on pumping brakes while
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that's interesting. I'm reading down through this, right? So apparently there is a new RT660 Falcon that's coming out.
Okay.
So it's now the new one's called RT660 Plus.
Plus, nice.
Yeah. And also apparently they think that the performance differences are pretty much the same, so they don't care which one you're running.
I mean, it's
At least
marketing.
that's what I
Right?
read.
It's marketing.
Well, it's up to a certain point. You can run both of them, but I think after about August, you have to have the new ones.
Okay.
August of 2025.
Okay,
Yeah. That just means that you have to buy another set of RT660 Plus if you're in the RT660.
If you're going to Nats, you're gonna be grabbing yourself a new set of tires.
Yeah.
Like I'm just, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like it's fine. I don't think there's.
But for everybody else, you can run whatever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And now we have the sound level thing, which, oh my God, 100 ADB, that's the maximum sound level.
Well, sort of.
No, they're gonna lower it, aren't they?
They said they're going to keep it the same, but the 108 they're doing isn't a 108 like it used to be. They measure it in a different way. But at a certain point, I run out of expertise on this very quickly. But I know that 108, however they're measuring it now, doesn't necessarily mean it's 8 more than the 100 that they used to measure it at.
Okay.
The easy answer is just not bring a loud car.
They're not mentioning what's the distance of measuring. Is this still 50 feet?
They're not mentioning it here. They're not mentioning it. But they do mention that they will lower that limit in 26. So this year it's still 108, but they are going to drop it. So if you have a loud car that's really cool and all your friends like it and your spouse likes it, girls like it, everyone loves your car, it's going to be illegal probably in 2026.
Well, locally, you have to remember, there, at least SCCA, is the WDCR group is enforcing a sound level at Waldorf, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure that there's going to be sound level reinforcements at Ripken, because all you have to do is look at the place where you drive and look outside a parking lot. If you see a bunch of townhouses, you know there's going to be a sound limit. Right. And then if you look out and all you see is a bunch of trees, then chances are the sound limit is a little bit more relaxed, right? Yeah. So I would say Waldorf, Ripken, probably, you want to make sure that you're under 100 at the minimum.
Yep.
At the maximum, actually. Yeah. All right.
Next, a bunch of street touring questions about things like your skid plate. Don't add an aftermarket skid plate. It's going to make you illegal. Like, this is pretty basic. It's going to help you make a flat bottom floor. Like,
I want to mention something. So, I'm taking my wife's RAV4 and I put skid plate on it, right?
My wife.
Yeah. So anyway, like ever since I put it on, she complains about two things. One is the gas mileage goes to crap because I add a whole bunch of weight there because it's a real thick skid plate.
Sure.
The second thing is most of the cars in the bottom, if you look at from the bottom now, they're either plastic or some kind of sort of a felt or foam material.
Yes.
Right. That it is the reason that's there is because it's create sound insulation.
Yes.
That's the engine.
Yep.
Right. It muffles the sound.
Correct.
Right. So now I can say that once I put a metal skid plate on my wife's car, now the car goes the whole entire time now.
You can solve that with adding more weight and adding yourself a liner, like a felt or something along those lines.
Yes. Or what you do is you play your radio super loud so you can't hear their
you're playing chess.
But anyway,
I like that.
The point I'm trying to make is that do yourself a favor. Don't add a skid plate.
Don't add a skid plate. I mean, if the class is like a stock-ish class, like a street touring class, what are you doing trying to make a flat floor? Like, stop it. Like you know better.
And then of course, the next line was mass airflow sensor placement.
God, that's putting me to sleep.
That's like the biggest. That's pretty dorky.
It is. Like, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to add more volume after the mass airflow sensor, like making a larger plenum. Everyone knows how to do this.
Yeah.
If they've ever drag raced. Like, you're trying to cheat the system. Stop it. Yeah. Stop it. Stop trying to make.
Hey, wait a minute. I'm supposed to be the anti-rule. You're supposed to be
right. I like this rule. Let me tell you why I like this rule. It's gonna stop the people that think they're gonna game the system, because it's still your stock mass airflow sensor, right? You're not, and it's a good rule to keep everyone in check. I like it. I like it.
Well, since I'm the anti-rule, what I would say is try not to propose a rule that only benefit you.
Right? It's very
or some magic things that you came up with, like the Ford RS200 kit car rule.
Like, I don't know what that is.
What is a Ford RS200?
No idea.
Okay. Yeah, because it's very specific, because no one has a Ford RS. That's right. It's gonna be one dude.
Yeah.
All right. And here's a really good one. And again, another great rule. So far, we've hit nothing but 10 out of 10 rules. I'm pro rules. They're asking for people to join if they're interested in the advisory committee and send their qualifications in writing to soloeventsboard.com. So if you love hearing about these rules like I do, but I'm too busy doing like field hockey stuff, and I have a job, and
kids,
lots of kids,
dogs, mortgage.
So I can't join the advisory committee. It's called the STAC. Is it? How do you pronounce that? Stack? Do you call it
Stack?
Yeah, it's a street
Stack.
touring advisory committee.
Yeah. So if you want to join that committee, I'll say it again: soloeventsboard.com, www at the very beginning of it. Jump on in and give them their qualifications, and then join in to the fun.
I see Paul Shaborski joined Pat.
Good. Oh, Paul another good rule.
I thought Paul Shaborski left PAC.
No, he's in it.
Oh, he just got in.
Congratulations. That's for the prepared category. Now moving to the modified category, Sierra Echo classification bespoke EV rule set. Man, they're working on that rule set. It's still in development. In the meantime, the regions can classify cars as they need, right? DC region has been great about that historically. Like it's all good.
Straight to AMOD.
Straight to AMOD. Send them to jail.
I thought straight to the ban list.
Send them to the ban list.
The exclusion list.
Oh man. I want to skip over the next couple rules. This is kind of there's specific rules for a singular person, right? They're talking about the bolts heads without aerodynamic features. They're talking about Ford RS200 kit car.
It's real easy to get in the weeds with some of this stuff. People
I kind of want to skip over them because people will hang up the podcast.
Peace out.
Yeah. So, but I think we should say this. I mean, obviously, we're talking about the fast track that's coming out, right? So, when you look at the fast track itself, sometimes you start seeing a bunch of red letters, right? The sentence, anything in red, that's what they try to add.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To anything that they want to delete, it will be a line that crosses out, right? Yep. So basically, red indicates change, and then anything that's non-red indicates not change.
That's good to point out. So let's skip over all the non-red. How about that?
Or you have to skip over all the red because, there's this allow non-performance modification for stack, and then there's all this red stuff.
Oh, gosh. So that's the street touring? Yeah. All right. So they want member feedback on it, right?
Right. So the thing is when you start reading this kind of stuff, right, just bear in mind that anything that seems kind of weird, right, or you can start to interpret it in different ways, right, don't make any assumption because when you read it over the first time, it seems like it's okay. And then 16 other people will read it and they will say, well, this is the other way. Right. But just remember, anything that's red is the change. Anything that's crossed out, it's also a change. But anything that's black is a non-change.
Yes, I see all the crossouts as well. There's a bunch of crossouts for the modified category. It looks like they're just correcting some of the maybe typos. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah.
It's interesting because you can see that people are writing all kinds of stuff to kind of try to benefit things here and there. Like if you go down to 14.10.s item 6, heat treatment may be used to increase durability of the original part, and the resulting parts will be added as a replacement component, right? So somebody can look at that line and say, okay, here, what that means is if you have a cryo-treated or any kind of a treatment on your rotors or something like that to make it last a little bit longer, right? That might not be a bad thing, right? But then, of course, one of my friends out on the West Coast immediately say, hey, can we try this company, this particular brand's, gearing from the, the gear set? Okay, that's heat treated. And then the guy me jump back and say, yeah, it's also bigger. It's just not heat treatment of an item. It actually changed the spec of the gear, right? Okay, but you can see how that works.
Yeah.
Right? They write a line, and anytime you read a simple rule and you read it, you can say, oh, okay, harmless. And then there'll be 3 or 4 other guys trying to explore it and read every letter and say, I'm going to add this and that, boo, boo, boo,
Never harmless.
But don't make assumptions.
Yeah.
But then again, if you start doing that, you put them inside of a transfer case or whatever, who's going to know that you did that?
Right? You'll know.
You'll know.
Number one.
You'll know. Right? Number two.
No, and Jesus will know.
No, not only that. You know who else would know? It's you, the Jesus, and Sam Strano.
And Sam Strano.
Oh my God!
Sam be like, that gear a little hot. That's not.
I'm telling you,
that's not stock.
I'm telling you, this is a story back in 2012, right?
Yep.
Sam Strano was in an event watching this other guy launch the car, and he says, "I have the same car. The car doesn't launch like that. Just by watching a launch. That's awesome. It." Right? And then he decided to throw paper at the guy just by watching the guy's launch.
Wow. That's
right?
amazing.
And the guy insists on this is not way, no way, no way, right?
Uh-huh.
Until the day after the event. And then when they have to go to the dealership and actually take the car, look at apart and see if he made the change or whatever. And the guy fessed up right at the parking lot of the dealership.
Oh my God. He took it all the way to the final second
Yes.
before
Yes.
ripping that car apart. Oh
Right.
my God.
So it's Jesus knows and Sam Strano
And Sam-
knows. So don't cheat.
Danny, can you please make a shirt that says, Jesus knows and Sam Strano knows. Don't
right.
cheat.
Don't cheat.
I'd wear that.
You read a rule that you think you can explore it. Don't explore it. Well, I
Don't
do that. I do it all the time. I'm sorry. I'm the one that says, okay, here, if you do a safety level 3 and by adding a roll bar, you can go to a seat that's super, super light.
That's super light.
Something I would do.
Yeah. Well, is it exploiting or is it actually just playing within this rule set, being smart?
Yeah. But the problem is the more you do that, the more money you spend and the more headache you create for yourself. And eventually you become anti-rule. So read the rules, but don't go crazy on the rules.
That's fair. Okay.
All right. Any other major stuff we need to talk about?
Nothing major here. Let's kind of skip forward a little bit. There's a bunch of stuff that's handled elsewhere. There's a bunch of stuff. Let's jump to the technical bulletins on page 18. Can we jump down there real quick?
How about the not recommended?
Oh,
you
those
want
are
to do
the
not
best.
recommended?
Those are the
God.
best.
All right, let me scroll back.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Not recommended is the one that says, thank you for your input.
Yeah. Look at a terrible
fine.
idea.
Okay,
All
so by the way, if you see a T-shirt or a shirt, that with the SCCA shirt to say thank you for your input, that's
Not
where this
recommended.
is from. This is where it's from,
God.
right? Like somebody will write stuff and ask for stuff, and then they don't recommend it, and then they just say, instead of saying, "Well, this is dumb," right? They just say thank you for your input.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Danny, you did not want to actually go through these. You just wanted to say thank you for your input, didn't you?
Yes, right. No. I think this like not recommended is a major category, right? And then,
Sure.
and then the end result is this: thank you for your input. Or they can easily say talk to the hand or something like that, right?
Okay, so let's talk about let's give the listeners a couple examples of the not recommended. Okay, can we read?
Yes.
I want to read the second one. All right,
Right.
super ponies and grand touring cars.
Okay.
Thank you for your input. The SAC believes the competitive balances in BS and FS are currently healthy at this time.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what happened was there's got to be people in F Street who's like the M3 saying, "Oh, I don't like it because all the Mustangs and Camaros are so fast," right? And then that's because what they did is they initially legislated and put the high dollar Mustangs and Camaros in B Street, so the M3s are winning everything. But M3 won because the M3 was moved down from the higher, from the faster class, like the B Street class, into F Street to basically take over the old Shelby Mustangs and, those kind of cars.
Yeah.
Right. So it's one generation replacing another generation, replacing another generation. So this is just a third or fourth iteration of the generation of cars whining about the previous generation
Yep.
or the new generation. Right. So that's all it is.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you want to see the thank you for your input will be like, the one that says moving 94 to 01 non-GSR Type R Acura Integra to STS.
Oh,
right?
baby.
And then the typical answer is thank you for your input. Why? Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because you only like 3 people in the whole country has this car.
And no one got a non-GSR going to Nats.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, non-GSI Type R. Oh, is this a typo? Because they said non-GSR Type R. Type Rs aren't GSRs. They are different cars.
Yeah.
So then why are you specifying it? It's not a non-GSR Type R. It's either a Type R or it's a GSR or it's an LS, really, right?
Yep.
So here they say the STAC believes that the 94 to 01 non-GSR, non-ITR Integras are appropriately classed. That's only the LS.
Right.
So I think that there might be a typo here, and we might see one of those.
There's all kinds of typos here. There's, yeah. I mean, that's why I say you can't read them that literally, right?
That'll be next month's fast track. They'll fix that.
We're going to see a big red line here,
right.
through the word non-ITR.
Yeah, and then the other funniest thing is like you look at the under a cam or XS category when somebody writes and say he wants to put Hoosiers on the cam car.
Hell yeah, brother. That's what I'm talking about. I don't blame him. Man. Keep writing. Keep trying.
Yeah.
Prepared category for cam cars. Thank you for
Yeah,
your
I mean, the
input.
funniest thing is the can was created because people are anti-Hoosiers.
Yeah, I know. It was literally made for street tires.
It's funny. You can get a lot of entertainment out of reading the
It's
rule
okay.
book. You go, what the heck?
I wish they actually published the letters that people send in, because I kind of want to know, like the one that's titled SST Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
I want to know what the
Thunderdome?
guy was asking for.
Can we guess? I actually think I know what they were talking about. It's a SST Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
They say, thank you for your input. The STEC does not feel like it's in its best interest of street touring to allow cars that meet non-otherwise classed criteria to compete at a national level, or allow those cars to compete in multiple street touring classes. I think beyond Thunderdome, they were bringing in these monsters that have no business in SST
But like
into
what,
SST.
though?
Yeah.
Huh?
Like, what is it? I mean, are they going to bring like Tina Turner in?
They're gonna probably wanted XA cars in SST.
We don't need another hero. No, like if you're 30 something, you just went over your head.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just showed your age again.
So what is a Beyond Thunderdome car?
We don't need another hero.
Yeah,
Hold on, I'm listening to it right now.
Oh, it's a great song.
that's right. No,
Yeah.
Ada, this is like a 4-minute song. We're gonna have a 4-minute silence. Or are you gonna
It's
play
from the
music?
movie Thunderdome.
Yes.
Yeah,
How does he
exactly
know-
from Mad Max.
How does he not know this?
I know.
I'm young and I have my whole life ahead of me. That's why.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, if you
sunsetting yet.
by the way, I wouldn't say so. Mad Max, the newer Mad Max wasn't. I mean, I'll tell you the very very new movie that's like Mad Max, which is what is that woman? Furiosa. That's a great movie.
I don't watch movies anymore.
Furiosa is a great movie. That was
Alan,
pretty
how do
awesome.
you not watch movies? That doesn't even make sense.
I haven't watched
Yeah.
a movie since like Wayne's World.
Okay. All right. We're moving on. Okay. There's a cam XS category in the not recommended. I want to just glance over this real quick.
Yeah.
Prepared category for the cam cars. Nope. The R comps. No, that's Hoosiers. What is
Terrible
this?
idea.
Older
That was the one I was
Corvette.
laughing at.
Yeah, that's the one
Yes.
we were laughing at.
Yeah.
Older Corvette request. Thank you for your letter.
No, you should read this one. We should look at this one. It says, if the glove don't fit, you must
Oh,
acquit.
yeah.
Oh my god. No, that has to do with OJ.
It's like
What are you
Johnny
talking-
Cochran now.
It's another 30-something-year-old reference.
Huh? It's a 60-year-old some reference.
That's a 60-year-old reference.
I was 30 something when that happened.
You're not 90.
That was like 1994.
I know, yeah.
Was it 94 or 95?
95.
I don't know.
95. I was
Because
30
it was a
years old.
94 Bronco, right? No, just kidding.
No, it was 95.
It was a
And that's,
95
you know,
Bronco?
So what happened? Like
Right.
this, no, like this is this is like Johnny Cochran. Is there a car for Johnny Cochran?
I don't think he's with
What
us
is this?
anymore.
If
Johnny
you have
Cochran.
video evidence that is contrary to cone penalties listed in the corner sheet, and you need to file a protest and submit video evidence, the operating stewards and chief steward national may be able to assist you to try to determine whether the cone penalty is correct or not. But how do you know if it's recorded? You know, that was the run. That was the one that you're looking at.
Did somebody just realize that he got a cone penalty on him from Nationals, and now he just figured out maybe he should say something about it?
Yeah. No,
I got screwed.
this is pretty wild. Oh yeah, but that's kind of interesting because I would say when I first went to nationals, I did put a camera facing backwards.
We've done that.
Yeah. And the reason it's not because I want to catch the backwards action, is because I put the cone out there and just make sure that like if I didn't hit a cone, I want to have some video evidence.
Yep.
Yep.
Right. I people probably still do that, but I don't do that anymore.
I don't.
Yeah. All right. So
Okay.
Ada, we need to move on to other
Tech-
stuff.
I want to go to tech bulletins and I want to jump to Classic American Muscle / Extreme Street. EV, blah, blah, blah. Moving down, the next one. Allow Victor P1.
Ooh.
Wheel and tire allowances. Any wheels are allowed. Non-metallic wheels, blah, blah, blah. Only tires which meets the SCCA solo street category eligibility rules or appear on the following list are permitted. And then underneath that, it says Victor Tempesta P1, P1 Plus. What the hell does that mean?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I do know.
You
like
do. You probably
on
wrote
the
the
list.
letter.
It's on the following list, but they also say see section 13.3 of the SCCA solo rules.
Why should this be easy?
Yeah, and isn't that weird? So I'll tell you, I read the section. Well, I read this thing. I go, okay, let me go to the section 13.3 of the SCCA solo rules.
Yeah.
And then when I went in there, it says, the following tires are excluded by Tour Tempesta P1.
But here it says, or appear on the following list. They hit enter and they typed Victor Tempesta P1, P1 Plus. Is it only legal for cam and extreme street classes? What
Yes.
the heck?
So apparently, when we start talking about the people that decide the rules, the answer is yes.
Okay.
Tempesta P1 is only allowed for cam and extreme, so you can run them now. So that's one.
Okay.
Right. But if the way that the rule is written, right?
It says that they're not.
Well, no, the way the rule is written, it says if they remove the word C section 13.3 of the SCCA solo rules, then it'll be fine.
For everyone.
But I don't know why they put that in there, because once they put that in there, people will go see 13.3 of the SCCA solo rules,
and it says
and
it's
this
not
is excluded. And
Right.
then, so I was expecting to go see 13.3. If it's removed, they will put a line across,
Right.
right? But instead of putting a line across, they add a P1 plus. So
they
to
excluded
me,
another tire.
To me, they're excluding one additional model of the Tempesta P1
For everyone else that's not in cam or extreme street classes.
Well, why
That's
would you
right.
want to be in a class that's not cam or extreme street?
That's the right question to ask. And that's why you're on the podcast.
Yeah.
I found my purpose.
But the thing is that section 13.3 did not say that these rules apply to only, they says apply to all the classes.
But it does.
Yeah, it does. Right?
Yeah.
So what happened is if they really want to make it right, they need to modify section 13.3 and then basically say this is excluded for this, but not that.
It's excluded for these classes and list the classes, or say it's
Right.
excluded for all
So-
street tire classes except for cam.
So this becomes a interesting thing about rules, right? If you're going to make a rule, you cannot say it's good here, but it's not good there, and then being very ambiguous. Because what happens is somebody will only read this part and somebody will read that part. Nobody's going to read the entire 500 pages of the rule book.
Some
right?
people might. I feel like
Yeah.
McFarlane might. He seems real smart.
Well, McFarlane is smart. Yeah,
I'd
And
probably-
same with Grubbs. Grubbs would read this easy.
no,
He'd
Grubbs
read it
won't
for
read
fun.
it. Grubbs don't read.
Grubbs reads.
Grubbs can read.
Grubbs can. Grubbs
Yeah.
can read. I'll put some Long John Silvers down.
So I bet you Grubbs can dance, and he can love, he can dance, but he can't read. Isn't that what the song is back in the 80s, Alan?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Are you?
It
doing
was
that?
Johnny can dance, Johnny can read,
Johnny
can
hates
push, Johnny
jazz.
can shove. Johnny
I'm
can read.
I'm finding a new podcast.
You can see that I'm anti-rules.
You're digging so deep in these old ass 70s references now. You don't even know the reference.
Because I am a constitutionalist.
That's not a word.
What does that have to
That
do
is
with
not
the
a word.
song?
Hold on, I'm googling.
I'm an SCCA rule historian.
A constitutionalist is a person who supports constitutionalism.
That's a non-definition if I ever heard one.
What?
There's no constitution.
You're a constitutionalist, Danny.
I just made that up after
You
I seen
support
the movie.
constitutionalism. I don't even know what that means.
You should have called me a constitutionalist for the weather segment.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
That's not anologist, though.
No, shoot, you're right.
Constitutionologist? Ooh, hold on.
You just made up a word.
Okay, so I don't want to give people the impression that we're talking about this just kind of kill time in a podcast, right?
We just want to talk about the Victors. Can you give us some real life,
Yeah, Danny.
life data on those
Tell us
Victors?
how good these things are.
I only tested it for a few events.
Well, give us the results of your testing, of your live testing. I mean, what other podcasts test these live?
Oh, I test them. I'm sure a lot of people test them, and they all say good thing about it.
Okay,
but,
fair. That's fair. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but all I can say is when the temperature is cool, right, the tire just never switch on. It stays cool. It stays cool, and then you're not getting maximum grip out of it. It seems okay at times, but it's just not as good as an AO52 in the cool weather.
It just doesn't fire up immediately.
It just no. We took 16 runs.
So it just doesn't fire up.
It never fired up.
What about on the track?
Every time I touch both sides, you get probably some lukewarmness, like 70 degrees.
No
right?
fun.
And then that day, the temperature was in the high 50s.
Okay.
So it was, high 50s, low 60s, and never switched on.
Do you consider driving harder?
Oof.
We drove pretty hard. It spun a bunch of times. My clutch is fried.
Oh, no, I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah, man, there was a lot of spinning going on.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
Yeah, but no. So it's no good. But
Alan just roasted you, and you're going to sit there and not even fight back? Like, that was...
No, he's going to let me drive his car this weekend. So.
Oh, that's okay. Got it. Continue. Yeah, man. Good one, Alan. That was funny.
I got leverage.
Alan's smart. So
if he beats me, I fire him.
Yeah.
He said you need to drive harder. Danny's like, okay. I'm like, what the hell?
Yes,
so
Daddy.
I would say this though, if you're ever interested in getting a Vitor P1, right?
Yeah.
If you do some track days or some HPDEs, it's probably a fantastic tire. Tempesta was $260, but there's always coupon codes and stuff like that you can find for like $100 off. Right. So I think I bought mine for like $902 shipped to my house.
That's not bad.
That's not bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I would say this is what I would recommend. The first time you run them without any heat cycle, don't run them on a real fast track because it's freaking scary. Right? I went to New Jersey Motorsports Park and I ran Lightning. I've never been to Lightning. And then I got mixed up with all the GT3s and GT4s in the class. And I'm in the Vitor just kind of sliding back and forth for the first two sessions. It's flat out frightening. Right.
Wow.
So try them at an autocross, right? Don't try them on track unless the weather the temperature is up. But I would say once you put a couple of heat cycles on it, the tire becomes really, really good if you can generate a lot of heat. And then the wear and tear is kind of moderate. It's not like some people say, oh, you can run them forever. It doesn't wear anything. No, it does wear. I mean, after 100 runs, I'm at a wear mark on my front left tire because the both tracks are having a lot of fast speed right-hand turns, right? Mm-hmm. So it does wear, but I do think that it wears less than AO52s.
Okay.
That's not saying much.
That's not saying much because AO52 wears fast too, right?
Yeah.
Right. But another thing I would say is I did run 6/10 faster or 7/10 faster than my fastest time at Summit Point.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I took it to Summit Point. And by the time I took it to Summit Point, it's got 3 heat cycles. Right. And then the first couple of laps, it needs in the first lap to kind of get it in there. Right. And then after that, the laps are consistently faster and faster. And then the fastest I got down to was 6/10 faster, 7/10 faster. So it is a pretty fast tire. And that's the time compared with RE71 RS on track. Right. Yeah. But in autocrosses, especially in the cool weather, we didn't find that better at all. In fact, it was slower. Simply because it doesn't switch on. It can never put power down. And then the car just slides around. Right? That's 16 runs in one day. So something to consider, if you want to get those Vitors. But, the SCCA rule took care of all that. Right?
Also, you can't find them. I'm on their website right now. I'm sold out in all the good sizes.
No, you can find them. It's just they don't make. In fact, I think the tires should work better with larger and heavier cars. That's what I think. Okay. Right. On the lighter cars, it's probably not that beneficial. I think AO52s has to be better with the lighter cars all around. But obviously don't take my word for it. You need to do your own tests, but that's what I think. So I'm going to stick with that tire to do HPDEs. Let's say I'm going to do a December HPDE with Alan. Right, a VIR. Nice. And if the temperature is like above 45 degrees, I'm going to go and run those tires. Basically, I'll run 2-3 laps, get it up in speed, and then I'll try to do attacks. But I'm not going to go crazy going to roller coaster, like full send or the XJS's on my first lap.
You'll be fine. Yeah, you'll be fine. It'll be warm.
So something to consider for P1s if you're interested. Right now, I don't have any. I think for autocrossing, if you think that that's a magic tire, I personally don't think it is. Right.
Yep. But isn't another advantage of the P1s that they come in some real oddball sizes?
Yeah, I was on their website and everything was sold out to just buy it right now on PayPal, but other places do have them. So maybe they just don't like selling.
No, there's some sizes. They have a lot of oddball sizes like 285, was it 285, 35, 15, or 345, 25, 19.
Yeah, they have a 285 15. That's wild.
Yeah,
That's a juice tire. They have a 21, the 315 on a 21-inch rim.
Don't they? I mean, they have a 17. They have a 285 17, right?
They have a 285 17. Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy because usually what would it 275?
Like 285 17. And what kind of car runs on 285 17s? They're like the old Corvettes, like C4 Corvettes or something.
A big boy S2000 maybe.
It'll be yours after you cut and flare. You'll be running them.
Yes, me. Yes.
actually.
You go wide body that you can do. But like where can you find rims that are like larger than 17 by 10?
Oh yeah.
Right. You have to get the old Corvettes or something like that. Or my brother used to have a 1980 like DTM car in Taiwan. And they run like, awesome. Like 17 by 12s or something like that.
Oh my word.
Yeah. So like one company makes 345 17s or something like that. That's what he runs. Yeah. Wow. So anyway, I mean, that's, you can try Vitors and, at your own risk. But for autocrossing, for competitive autocrossing, I would say once the weather holds up, and then if I can get twice amount of runs out of it than an AO52 and they're consistently fast from beginning to end, then that becomes a pretty good tire to run, right? So that's one thing that, if you guys want to do some test or whatever, I'm certainly going to try it. I'm going to see how many runs I can get out of it before I completely go until it goes to cording. And I want to find out if it's continuously fast until that point. If it's like that, if I can get 300 laps, like what some people said, and then every lap is fast,
that's
right.
Amazing.
Then it's a no-brainer for me to buy that because I mean I do a lot of track days.
Yep.
And then then all of a sudden every session can be you can brag about it, right?
Then you can have yourself a set of your track set up and then your autocross setup.
If you can get a PB, possibility of getting a PB at every track session, right? Shoot, that tire's worth it.
Yep.
Right? Because I know that some tires, when the temperature gets hotter or whatever, it's not worth it. Won't get there, and when the temperature is cool, it won't get there.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how they do once in the heat of the summer.
Yeah, I think in the heat of summer it would do good.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
But the Nankangs.
Yeah, but the thing is, you got to remember in autocrossing, like we always worry about tire temperatures in autocrossing a lot, right? And then end up spraying the tires and all that stuff. I mean, I'll tell you, a lot of people that once they run track, they just, I mean, the temperature goes up to 180 to 190 degrees, and the fall off is very minimal, right? So when people in autocrossing say, "Oh my God, they need to be within like 1 psi or 2," it might be that might be the rule for back in the day, but the newer tires, their temperature range could be pretty different.
These new tires are
a large temperature range.
Absolutely.
Right? So they can fire it up throughout the temperature range. Yep. Like I'm still the one that in the summertime I would bring a water bottle and spray, right? That's probably just out of habit, right? And I'm also
you have to look like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, but the thing is like, but the more I do that, the more I'm like, especially with AO52s or RE71s, if you start your temperature low, you just sit there and let it build up. It's not going to hurt anything, right? And then basically the first 2 runs, the pressure is going to jump quite a bit, right? Yeah. When it's colder, it might only go up by like 1 psi, but on your second run, between second and third, it could jump up 4 more psi if you drive it really hard once that initial heat up is happening. Right. So that's the one that you bleep it down, like drop it down to the regular temperature, then you stay there. Right. And then, a lot of times I see a lot of people spraying all that stuff and then they kill themselves from doing that. But I truly don't think that's that big of a difference. You can make a mistake in one corner and that's all the time that you're trying to gain, or you missed it by a few feet here and there.
Yep.
Right. So anyway, I mean, that's just another suggestion, but I think we need to wrap up those rules.
Yeah. I think, is there anything you guys want to talk about specifically? I wanted to get to the Vitors. That was my kind of goal. Anything you guys want to talk about or rules in general? Do you see the point of rules? You guys happy with the rules?
I'm anti-rule. I think rule takes a lot of fun from everything. You spend a lot of money on your car and then you want to do well, but then all of a sudden you have a set of rule books that tells you that this is what you could do and this is what you can do. And then I can't tell you for how many years that I want to make the car this way, right? Add a wing or, put a diffuser and make it cool and go wide body, right? And still have a good time. And then somebody says, oh, no, you need to hang out with like 2 people instead of the 20 people I can normally race with.
Sure,
right?
I get that. But the rules are there for that reason of feeling competitive.
The rules are there for some kind of a parity, right? I mean, for competitiveness, right?
You need it.
So maybe the key thing is when you go to the organization that the rules are not really like that big of a deal, like the Mercedes.
Yeah.
Right. I naturally favor a Mercedes kind of event because I'm just there running.
Right. But you've also kind of been there and done that when it comes to the highest level of competition. So to you, it's almost, it's a little different than someone maybe that hasn't been to nationals or maybe hasn't won as much as you've won. So
yeah. So now the thing is if you get for someone who wants to chase for, let's say, SCCA,
sure,
trophies and stuff like that, right? I would say read the rules carefully, right? Just remember every time when there's a rule change, right, that impacts you, that means you have to spend more money, right? So get your pocketbook ready if you really want to go chase for something like that, right? Because if you want competitive advantage, and then by exploring the rules, that just means that you have to spend money. Or what you can do is you can play the game on a higher level. You join a committee, right? Mm-hmm. Into the spec committee or stat committee and all that stuff. So when other people are saying that they want to do the rule change, you scream louder and say no. Right? But then you become a politician instead of a racer. That kind of destroys the fun. Right?
No, don't join the rules committee to cheat for yourself. Join the rules committee because
that happens all the time.
I know it does, but I'm telling the listeners, join the rules committee because it's fun and it's exciting to help be a part of that rules creation, rules modifications, or rules, keeping them the same, that whole path.
Yeah.
Don't join because Danny says you're going to cheat and then make your car the best.
I think the competitors cannot join the rules committee.
Oh, or they do rules for a different.
That's right. That's almost like make Max Verstappen to take over the head of the stewards.
Oh, he already is the head of the stewards.
Right.
Brother.
But what I'm saying is that's exactly what we have here in the solo world.
He's been getting away with murder.
Yeah.
And he finally got sat down a few times, and now he's so mad and angry he won't even take it's crazy. That's a whole nother topic.
The competitive racers cannot be a part of the rules committee.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
If you're actively racing, you shouldn't be setting rules.
Yep.
But that's not how it works, right? Especially in solo. In solo, it's all the fastest people are the one that controls the rules. So that makes the politics very interesting.
But we're going to end on the note that we need rules, and rules are all good.
Yes, I think that you can get a lot of fun out of reading Fastrack.
Yes,
but if you really want to keep it up, or you can go in there and laugh at everything, and then it's just drama after drama.
I am blissfully ignorant. I love it. I'm happy.
Alan, what do you think before we sign off? Alan is the voice of reason.
The voice of reason. I'm happy that there is a good rules process in place. I don't mind that people can write in and ask for really inane stuff or really irrelevant stuff, and then they get the thank you for your input. Thunderdome. I really want to know what that. It's like some of these letters. They just publish the title, and I really want to know the whole thing they send in. But no, it's good to be informed. It's good to see the process in place. It's good to see. I kind of like Cam and XS. They've been more of a dictatorship than an actual, committee that they can just kind of make their own rules, and it's not part of the 500-page rule book.
But look at us. We're all in it.
I know, but
but then you're the victim of running an excess of 7 people where those cars should never be in excess.
Yeah.
Right? That's what Alan's talking about, like the dictatorship, because the people that are creating those rules, they don't even run in that class. So how the heck would they know?
True.
Right.
I'm curious to see what happens with Cam and XS if they wind up being folded into regular classes, and how that changes their relatively small rule book. If all of a sudden that they're going to be subject to, a whole bunch of new rules, or if it's going to try and stay freewheeling as it is now. And frankly, it's not a big deal to me. I'll drive either way, so let it happen.
Okay, Danny, do you have some closing thoughts?
No, I'm anti-rule. You can close it.
Anti-rule. All right, Alan. Any last words?
No, I'm good. This has been enlightening.
This has been a great. What was it called? The informative, fun segment. That was fun.
We'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
So yeah.
For our Feature of the Week segment, we like to cover an interesting, informative, or a fun topic which could benefit all autocrossers. In this episode, we will continue to cover the next set of Danny's autocross cars. I actually really like this segment, so sorry again for the previous one you just heard, but we're back to good content.
That's why you need to skip an hour.
Yeah. You could have just skipped that. So all good.
Yeah.
During the time period of 2017 through the start of COVID, which was right around that 2020, Danny learned enough about autocross to cherry pick classes and cars. Some call them cheater cars, but others say they're just the right car for the right class, all that stuff. But we'll call them cheater cars just for this. But they're not like inherently illegal. They're just the top of the cream of the crop for the class, right, Danny?
Well, they're not necessarily that the cream of the crop. It's just that sometimes the classes are like ripe for the taking. Or sometimes that like the hot class, now everybody went elsewhere.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden it's like it's wide open here. Now it's only
so
like 5 guys are fast. It has to be 5 guys.
Yeah, sure, fair.
Right. And then in some classes, like they're like one guy there. You just have to outrun that one guy. Yeah. So those are the cherry picking time.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then again, if you want to cherry pick, you have to understand how to cherry pick.
Okay.
Right.
What does that mean?
Cherry picking?
No, I understand cherry picking. You're saying you have to understand how. Like, what criteria are you looking for if you're looking to cherry pick a class? And disclaimer, not endorsing cherry picking here. We're just talking about Danny's history.
So cherry picking is an interesting thing, right? So you can cherry pick at the local level. You can cherry pick at the national level. Cherry pick on the national level, obviously, is kind of difficult. So, but we're talking about cherry pick at the national level here.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
But you can apply the same concepts to cherry pick locally.
Okay.
Right. So, like, for example, right, when Meyer Schmidoff wasn't running an XA, right, or when Jeremy Hubble wasn't running an XA, the only person that was kind of fast was Ada in XA. So that class is ripe for the cherry picking.
I wasn't even fast though. Like,
plus Ada doesn't only shows up like twice. So
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
so XA for locally, for a while was there for the taking.
So let me blow your mind, Danny. XA was there for is cherry pickable, and
not anymore.
Well, before Alan joined XB, XA was crushing the top 4 or 5, and XA were faster than the fastest in XB.
Yeah,
right.
But like XB was for a while was cherry pickable until Alan goes in and Howard Lankin goes in with the Lotus, and then all of a sudden it's no longer cherry pickable anymore.
Now XA and XB.
When I told Mike Brown to cherry pick XB,
what'd you say?
When I told Mike Brown to cherry pick XB, I didn't realize that the rest of people were going to jump in.
Well, I will say this: while the overall speed wasn't the fastest, when it was Mike Brown, Andrew Choi, Greg Jones,
it's a better battle.
It was the best battle. There was another.
Well, Greg Jones probably had an advantage over, just by the years of experience.
Yeah, and he won. He won. But
that's right.
It came down to the final event, and there was 4 people I think that could have won it in that final event. That's how close it was.
Right. But this year, Alan started jumping in. He started cherry picking.
Oh yeah, he crushed everybody.
And then everybody else just got crushed. Right. He went undefeated. So the thing is, you have to have a little bit of experience to cherry pick. Right. Okay. For beginners, you can actually cherry pick classes too, and then you just have to find a class where it's like undersubscribed, or like people are even more newer than you or something like that.
That's fair. Yeah.
Right. So by the way, the word cherry picking, that's not out of any kind of a disrespect, right? Because you got to think about this. Everybody, in any kind of a sports competition, right? Some people are naturals. They're naturally fast. But I'll be honest. I mean, I've seen, I don't know how many thousands and thousands of autocross are now, right? I mean, you can count people that that have natural talent to win immediately without experience in probably one hand.
Wow.
There are not that many. Everybody had to go through hard work, understanding, working at the craft and building cars and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody progresses a different way. Some people it takes 20 years like myself and I still suck, right? And some people it takes 5 years. Some people it takes 4 years. Some people it takes, a little bit longer than 6 months, but who knows, right? But it's all the cumulative experience to learn how to race is the one that gets you to where you are. So cherry picking is not a negative word. It's just that, it just happened in that small, tiny period in time that you can actually go after something that you really want, right? Okay, so let's talk about my cherry picking cars.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so the first time I really started trying to cherry pick and I had the skills to cherry pick was my 2017 Chevy Camaro, right? In 2016, there was a new class got introduced called CAM, right? That's the classic American muscle. I think it was 2015 maybe. Okay. So when CAM was first introduced, in fact, it is 2015 because at the end of 2015, because I bought Raleigh Borain's Little Chicken or the Red Miata that we talked about in the last episode. Yep. And the reason I bought that is because he started the CAM class. Okay. And he won the CAM car. Yep. And Adam George's Mustang was a perfect CAM car. So Raleigh Borain bought Adam George's Mustang to join the new CAM class. Nice. Right. So the following year, after a year and a half or so, after I got my first trophy running in CSP with Oscar, I decided it's time for me to cherry pick. Right. So at that time, there were a lot of cool people driving CAM cars, and then there were a lot of cool cars in CAM, but mostly are not autocrossers. Right. Right. So I know that I had the number of years of autocrossing, to battle against these guys in CAM. And because CAM is not a jacket class, it's a provisional class at a time. And now it's called developmental class now, which if you listen to our mumbling,
rewind and re-listen to the whole segment.
If you hear the whole hour of that nonsense that we talk about on rules, you understand what I'm talking about, right?
Supplemental versus experiment. Was it experiment? No.
Now it's called developmental for rest of the class and
for all the classes except for FSAE.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So since CAM is not a jacket class, a lot of people don't want to run those classes, especially in nationals. Yeah. Right? So for me, I didn't care about the jacket. I just want to win something. So what I did is I bought a 2017 Camaro, and because it's a CAM, you can do all kinds of stuff to it. Oh, right? Yeah. So the first thing I did is I cut up the fender and I stuffed 335s. 335 18s on the front and 335 18s on the back. So I ran square. So my car looks like a tank. I love it. Or like a big, like a Silverado or something like that. And then the second thing I bought, which is also sacrilegious, is I bought an automatic, right? Because most people, other than PDKs, they still want to drive a manual car. Yep. And my car was automatic because I realized that is a tunable transmission. Wow. So what happened was I went to an expert in North Carolina. I flex fueled the thing, awesome. putting in huge headers, and then cleared out the exhaust, right? So it just rumbles, right? And then on top of that, I ran flex fuel. Nice. For the car, so I can run E85, right? And then he tuned my transmission. So what happens is a lot of these earlier Camaros, when you get on the transmission, especially as an automatic, your first quarter tip in actually gives 60% of the power. Wow. Right? That gives people the impression of, oh my God, my car's fast. Yeah. Because it jumps, right? Yeah. But for autocrossing, it's so much more difficult if your throttle is not linear. Right. So what happened is I asked him to change my throttle mapping. So what he did is he changed the throttle mapping that the first 50% of the pedal gives 25% of the power. Oh, wow. And then when I go past 50%, then they give me all the beans. Right? So that means that the acceleration is fairly linear and then power. And so now I can modulate the throttle a lot easier. Right? There's not this, the modulation is no longer that hard. Right? And then because I run 335s and then I put a whole bunch of cambers in the car, right? And with good suspensions and all that stuff, that means that anytime I go into a corner, right? If the car is pushy into the corner, right? You think about it, when the car is pushing in the corner, you don't turn more, right? because you're losing the contact patch. But the front end is so big, right? So then what happens is if I go into a corner that's not turning, I just hold it and keep on putting power down. And it would drive through every corner.
Oh, that's awesome.
With a lot of power. So obvious, and then in conjunction of that, plus a lot of people that are not, full-time autocrossers running those classes, right? Mm-hmm. And now it becomes an easy class for the taking.
Okay, so how did you do?
So I'll tell you how the funniest thing is. In 2017, I just got the car. I did the actual CAM the CAM race, the CAM Invitational race in Indianapolis. I think I finished 4th nationally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but here's the funniest thing.
Yeah,
every national tour event or pro solo event that I went, I won.
That's awesome.
And then here's the funniest thing. At the New Jersey Pro Solo, right, in 2017, I was the number 1 qualifier.
That's so cool.
Me, number 1 qualifier.
That's so cool.
And so number 1 qualifier in Pro Solo means that you beat the second place by the largest margin.
Wow.
Right? So that tells you who is in it. Right? So what happened is I think I was 3.5 seconds faster than the next person.
Wow.
That puts me way ahead of,
yes.
Yeah, of the qualifying. That doesn't mean I'm fast compared with the rest of the people.
Right, but we care about your class.
Right.
That's the whole point of cherry picking.
Exactly. So that demonstrates the power of cherry picking.
Yes.
Is that in Pro Solo, you're winning your margin against the second place is 3.5 seconds.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So that tells you the not necessarily the driver, but the car is also good.
Well, you need a driver to be able to cherry pick. Yeah.
So in my situation, average driver, great car, and then that's how I add the biggest difference, right? So that's what happened in 2017.
Yeah.
And then I won a bunch of tires, right?
Yeah.
So 2018 was even a better year. 2018, I only lost 1 race. Wow. I was second place at Pro Solo finale. I won every race.
That's amazing.
Right? I won every race. Doesn't matter if it's local or national. And then what happened is all of a sudden people on the West Coast, they're going, like I see them at the national events, they go, yeah, we'll be watching you. We know what you're doing, you cherry picker. Right? And I was like, come and join me, right? Nobody was. But the thing is that, by the 2018 and when it started progressing, people realized that, oh, this class is actually cool. It is a lot of fun people.
It's so cool.
Cars are awesome, like American Muscle, rah, right? And then you started seeing people start jumping in.
You have guys like Todd Lilly. It doesn't get any cooler.
Yeah. I mean, like Burning Man.
yeah, exactly. Like he's so cool.
That's the cool part of CAM. So then I think after that, and then people start catching on. Then you start having national championship winners. I know that in 2000 Pro Solo finale, that was the only race that I lost.
Wow.
I lost to Ryan Otis, which is one of the fastest guys. I mean, he's a national champion out of Oregon.
That's
right.
So cool.
So he's the only guy I lost. So unfortunately, I ended up finishing second at nationals, but I still got a big trophy for finishing second at nationals. So that was really cool. And then for the nationals, I actually drove with somebody else. I drove Eric Brown's CAM S Corvette.
Okay.
Instead of my own car at that race for nationals. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like something.
I think the reason I did that was because CAM C, which is my car, it runs on Thursday, Friday. And I want to go home. So I ran Tuesday, Wednesday, and I want to go home early. Yeah. I mean, that was my year. I mean, I think that year, if I stay in it, I would have a great chance to do really well at nationals because I'm just battling against Ryan Otis, essentially.
It's so cool.
So anyway, I ran a CAM S. And the first day until the very, very last run for the second driver, I was the first driver. I was second overall.
Wow.
And then the weather cleared up and everybody caught on. It was raining like crazy. And they started getting drying conditions. So I ended up finishing third on first day. I ended up finishing fourth. But the other 3 guys in front of me are, I think 3 of them combined that have 7 or 8 national championships.
Can't complain about
that.
So
you can see that's the time that CAM S started coming back in. So nowadays, you want to cherry pick CAM locally, still doable, right? Try to cherry pick nationally and CAM now it's hard.
Right. So now because we're thinking about nationally, right? Normally, then CAMS becomes uncherry pickable.
Yes, right now,
So then-
Cam is on pickable, right?
So then what are you thinking? You're thinking, hey, what's the next cherry picking class?
So I actually, the next car I bought, they're not necessarily cherry picking cars. So the next two cars I want to talk about are the hot hatch of the time,
Okay.
right? So I bought a 2017 Focus RS.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that car in B Street at the time was pretty good. I think the only bigger competition at that time was, this was before they allowed Tesla 3s or Supra hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
So M2 I believe was the car
Okay.
in there. So that it was battling against M2 depending on weather conditions, right? If it's cold and lots of dirty, or if there's lack of grip or something like that, usually that's pretty good. So, but unfortunately, when I bought that car, I thought I was going to cherry pick pretty well, but my two events before nationals, was all on concrete with high grip, and that car just doesn't work in concrete with high grip. It just won't rotate.
The all-wheel drive.
It just won't rotate. Subarus don't rotate, right?
Got you.
So unless you put humongous rear sway bars, and then you have inside lift and you tripod, then you end up breaking your center diff. I also experienced that, like what we talked about before.
Good.
So Focus RS turned out to be a not cherry picking car, but like in cold weather and stuff like that, it's just awesome.
But you were trying to cherry pick, so
I tried to cherry pick.
Attempt was still there. Yeah.
So I went to nationals with it, and in fact, after my last run of nationals, I gave the keys to James Young and say, "The car's yours." So
the Yaminator.
I sold the car before I even got there.
Oh, that's awesome.
I took my 6 runs, and here goes the key, and then I was gone. So that's how I sold the Focus RS.
Nice.
And I did finish as the fastest Focus RS at nationals.
Oh, that's good feeling.
Yeah, that was good the trophy, when it was a large class, like almost 60 people. I finished ninth. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
that was your first hot hatch.
That was my hot hatch. But the next car is really a cherry picker car, which was a 2017 Civic Type R.
CTR. Nice.
Yeah, CTR. So CTR was in D Street at the time, and then not many D Street cars can beat a CTR. So in fact, the year that I bought it, CTR won nationals.
Nice.
Yeah, and then locally there weren't that many people that are running CTRs. So,
I think just Tyler's the only one that I've even known around here.
But that was way later.
Yours was way before.
So I had one of the newer ones when they first came out. Yeah, that car was fast. Especially when the weather gets bad, it's incredible. I remember one year, so when I first got the car at Hershey, Sam Strano and I were driving together. Mm-hmm. We were 1-2 raw time and packs.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. Yeah. So that car is incredibly fast whenever it gets cold. So something to consider. I don't think that's that class D Street is really competitive now.
Yeah.
So you thinking about cherry pick, I think it's a little tough.
I think that the cherry picking class goes like
they go up and down and stuff like that. In those years, D Street was easy. CSP was hard, right? And nowadays it's like a complete reverse. CSP now becomes easier, right? And then D Street, you have Mark Daddio and Ken Roller, all the fast people. So it's significantly more difficult. So cherry picking also, moves in waves.
Nice.
Yeah, something to consider, right? And then the next one, which will come as was a surprise, right? Which is a 2008 Civic Si.
Yeah, how did that get into the mix? Because
Civic Si is a great H Street car when the course gets fast.
Okay.
Right? Because they were in G Street, they got moved to H, right? So the advantage of that car is it won't hit the ref limiter until 59, almost 60 miles an hour.
Okay.
You can put 245s on the front without rubbing, right? So what I did was I used 245 17s for the front for grip and 215 17s on the rear for rotation.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And I run a pretty big sway bar. And then the car is super light. So what it does is unlike other H Street cars, they're running turbos and stuff like that with always a little bit of a lag, right? And then this car is light and fast and nimble that you can go through corners pretty fast. And as long as you stay in there, and once it reaches the top RPM range, it generates quite a bit. It comes in and generate quite a bit of speed and power. It's sound kind of funny, right? From a Civic Si, but it's a great car, and it's also a car that you can just put your foot on the throttle and just steer. Yeah, if you set it up right. So that car was actually pretty interesting because I did the whole entire season at NNJR in 2019 with that. And then, obviously I won the whole class, right?
Ah, that's cool.
Yeah. And then my claim to fame on that car is I went to Farm Show one year running in rain, right? And I had a Continental, Extreme Contact Sport ECS on the car, right? And I co-drove with Ryan Lauer.
Nice.
Right? I top packs an FTD in an H Street car.
That's crazy.
And then in the same group, we have people like Justin Peachy, Eric Peachy, Jeffrey Wolper.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? And then that's why these guys think I'm fast.
What was there a lot of rain? Like what?
No, there was a lot of rain.
Oh, and so you had the perfect tires for a lot of rain. I had
the perfect tire and the perfect car, right? Awesome. Everybody was like, get on throttle and then the slide. I full throttle through the whole thing.
So cool.
Okay. That's the definition of cherry picking.
There you go. Yes, exactly.
Right? It's understanding the conditions of the race. And then you have the absolute advantage with the best equipment for that particular condition or that situation, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's one of the cherry picking cars. And the other car that's good for cherry picking, not necessarily at a national level, but at a local level, right, is a 2003 Toyota MR2 Spider.
Oh, yes.
That's another car that you just, you run square, you put your foot down and it just goes, right? That's awesome. Steer and the car just goes there, full throttle. Yeah, it's one of the most balanced, fun autocross cars, low power autocross cars you can have, right? Is that MR2. And then, the only other competition is the older generation of Miata.
Right. Yes.
Right? And I think the MR2, personally, I think MR2 looks a little cooler.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's also easy and fun to drive, right? And it's a cool convertible. Obviously, you don't have any room to put anything else.
Yeah.
Right. And then you do want to overfill that car because under high G load, it's just like the GR86 that you're going to get oil starvation, right? I blew up under the motor at Harrisburg.
Oh.
Because of that. I still have the piston.
That's awesome.
Yeah. A bend rod and stuff like that. So MR2 Spider will be a good car. Yep. And the one last car that I had belonged to the cherry picking group. It still happens today. You can still do it, right?
Okay.
It's a 2019 Honda Civic Si, the one that Dustin Grubbs has.
Awesome.
Right?
Awesome. Yep.
That car is fantastic, right?
Was yours like very bright colored?
Mine was yellow.
It was like a bright
yellow. Yeah.
Yes.
So yes. I sold my car to Elizabeth Sharp and Greg Sharp.
They have your car?
Yeah, no, they sold it this year, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they had, they bought it and they called it a highlighter.
Yes, that's how bright it was. Yeah.
So I actually sold the car to them during COVID, like in the beginning of COVID, right? Because I got rid of my GTR for a GT4. And then the Civic has to go too because I don't have enough money to pay for a GT4. Right. Awesome. So I ended up selling both cars. In that car, it's still a good cherry picking car. Now you can see that after I had it, and then Mike McKee drove it, and McKee bought one.
Yeah.
And he was winning everything. And then Dustin bought one, and now Dustin's winning everything.
That's so cool.
Right. So Dustin is a faster driver, right? But you can see that like me and McKee can win a bunch of races. I went to Finger Lakes with Chris Higgins.
So
then that was a national win. It wasn't that hard to do either in that car because the car was so good.
So are you thinking that the SI, even though it's slower, is a better car than the Type R just for charity?
I actually sold the Type R and bought a SI.
Wow.
And the reason for that is because when I had the Type R, I had an opportunity to drive someone else's SI at an autocross school. And when I drove it, that was the time that I realized, oh my God, there's not that much difference between these two things.
Okay. So
one looks significantly cooler, has better interior, and also, it's faster on track. Right. But as far as handling how good the balance of the car is, I wasn't disappointed. And when I got rid of Type R and got that SI, I was not disappointed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that's not cool about the SI is if you ever bring them on track, especially on a warm day, you have one lap before it starts pole timing.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. He soaks so fast.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's not that good of a car that you want to run them on track. But I took the SI to my first SCCA time trial national event.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wasn't very fast at all, but I won.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, that's because the car is fast.
That's awesome.
Only at one lap. Yeah. I went to pit race and pit race is fairly long. And the weather wasn't that hot. I did one lap and started pulling timing, but that one lap was good enough.
But all you need is one lap.
Yeah, that one lap was good enough. Yeah. So now that sort of sums up my cherry picking cars. And then after a while, I think I got a little jaded after the 2018 Nationals because I just did not experience a good national.
Yeah.
Back then, there was a lot of issues in terms of organization, how the race was done, and all of that stuff. So I decided not to go back to national anymore. And then I have to look at myself, and I'm also getting up to age. And then what happened was COVID hit not too long after that.
Yeah.
Right. So just like anything else, when you do something for a long period of time, eventually you're going to say, okay, here it's time to hang it up. Right. Or it's time to just enjoy it without worry too much about the competition side of things.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys understand this, but some people comes easy, right? I mean, you might think that Jack Christie comes easy. The first time he goes on nationals, he gets a trophy, or Dustin goes out there first time, third place. That doesn't happen that often. You got to work at it.
No, it doesn't.
So for someone that been to nationals 9 straight times and then finally trophy, there's a lot of battle and self-doubt to get to a place where you can actually are good enough to trophy. Right. So after 3 straight trophies afterwards, I just got tired. I didn't feel like doing it. Right. So I could either quit or I can just try to enjoy it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So
I decided to take the enjoyment route. But the problem is if I want to enjoy by the car that I want, then I can never race in a class that was written, for that particular car, because whatever I do to my car is going to be at the highest class. And there's no way I can run against people that are really serious about the rules.
Yep.
Right. So we'll finish at the next episode. We'll wrap up the entire thing. Right. Next, I'm just enjoying autocross, and I'm just going to buy the car I want, and I'm just going to prep the car the way I want to, and then just let whatever the class fall in is whatever the class fall in. But fortunately, all of a sudden, now there's an XA XP now. So a lot of these cars that you don't want to follow rules, they all fit into that.
Yep.
Right. But before, 2022, that didn't exist.
No, you'd have to throw Hoosiers on them, and
you have to throw Hoosiers on it, but it's not competitive.
But it's exactly. It's
right. So what's the difference? I mean, there's no difference there. But you have to reach a certain point where you just want to come out and have fun. Or when you first start, you want to have fun when you're experimenting. That might be so the next episode will tell you, how you can have fun, prepping your car for autocross, and then you'll be poor after.
I love it.
I mean, because the rules are written specifically to tell you that, hey, you want to spend money, but you want to be competitive, you got to spend a lot of money in those classes, right? And then, but car is an expensive thing, and then you have to be kind of crazy to do that anyway. So,
yep.
We'll into the next one.
Oh, man. All right. Well, thank you, Danny. That was great. I enjoyed just listening to you talk about these. We have one more. Our next and final installment of Danny's Cars, we're going to go over the buying bucket list and dream cars, and still have fun autocrossing and track driving, which is what you were kind of giving us a preview about just now, which is really nice. And so stay tuned. We'll cover those in 2 weeks.
Yep.
There we go.
All
Thank you, Danny. That was great.
Okay, great.
All right. This concludes our podcast episode. Everyone is excused except for the novices. Our novice meeting begins now. So for today's novice meeting, we are going to be talking about, can you find me an autocross mentor? So it's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to be talking about an autocross mentor. What does that mean? That means, well, there's a couple of, let me just start from the top. There's an easy button for this. Okay.
Really? I mean, is that an app that you can swipe left and right?
It's that. Yes. It's actually, you can click on your computer. I don't think you could probably do it on your cell phone too. You can sign up for any one of the local autocross schools. There's the DC Region Autocross School. There's the PCA Autocross Schools. It's an easy button. I know it's like kind of a cop out to this. Like, I want a mentor, right? Trust me. The first thing you want to do is see if you can get yourself in any one of these autocross schools. I think that they're all great, right? I've been to the PCA one. I've been to SCCA one. I don't know if Mercedes has an autocross school.
I don't recall that Mercedes has one,
BMW
but I think
does.
BMW has it. Yeah.
I've been to that one too. And I'm telling you right now, your instructor will mentor you. It's not just, hey, turn left, turn right. It's nothing like that. And like the last time I was at a PCA autocross school, you were there, Danny. I don't know if you remember. I got the cell phone number of my two students. They both asked me if they could have my number. I was like, sure, ask me anything. And like, I am not mentor material, but I can answer a few autocross questions.
You're not mentored material.
Well, like when you think of a mentor, I don't think.
Oh, I'm sorry. I confused mentor with mental.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have an autocross mentor. Danny, do you know who my autocross mentor is actually?
Let me think.
Yeah, you might not get it.
Let me think who goofs around and then drives real slow. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, you just made fun of yourself so bad because you're my autocross mentor.
Oh my God,
you might not even know this, but you're actually my autocross mentor.
Oh no,
and you have been for quite a while. Did you know? Yeah. Did you know that or no?
All I can tell you is just I do my best mentoring when I'm getting paid. No, I'm just kidding.
I pay you in hugs and kisses. All right.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. But
and food every once in a while.
Danny, did you know that you're my autocross mentor?
I think you try to follow it to a certain extent, but I'm not sure if you're making a mistake or not. if you don't ever want to, if you want to take 10 years to trophy at the first nationals, then
man, some people go their whole lives and don't get close to the trophies. So I'll take it.
Right. So it takes a little time.
Yeah, it does. So the first thing was schools. Your instructor at the school who's going to be assigned to you is on purpose. It's not an accidental assignment. Okay. For example, I've seen Danny be selected to instruct students with similar cars that he has, right? I was put with a couple people that had similar-ish cars to what I was driving at the time, right? It's on purpose, and they know you, and they're not just there randomly. It's not like any guy off the street can be an instructor. They know what they're doing. They're very good, and they can mentor you. Next one. The novice coordinators at any event, right? You go to any event, you flip your flashers on, someone's going to come to you, okay? That someone can be your mentor, even if it's only for that event.
Yes, that's their job.
It's their job, right? Like, it's like, again, another easy button. Like, I don't know what I'm doing at autocross. Turn on my hazards. Someone's going to come help me out, right? It's so hard sometimes to remember to ask for help. But it's so easy once you do. You always think to yourself, why didn't I do this earlier? Why didn't I do this sooner? This is so fun and easy, right?
Yeah.
Now, those are the easy ones out of the way. Autocross schools, at any event, flip your hazards on. Someone will come and save you. Like,
but those two are the best advice, though.
They are the best advice.
I mean, there's no better way to find a mentor, because once someone instructs you, and they kind of get to know you and actually know your car.
Yep.
And then, believe it or not, majority of the instructors, they felt like they have a responsibility to make sure that you'll continuously do well after.
It's funny you say responsibility. Yeah. The way I see it is, that was my student. My student's faster and better than your student.
Yeah.
Everything's a competition with these autocrossers.
Except Ed. I know one of the instructor, Ed, at the HPD.
Oh, Bernard?
Yeah, I have Bernard. And he goes, my student never loses an HPD.
Bro, I am that man.
And then he goes, sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg. He is Cobra Kai. But the thing is, it works. His students are so fast.
Yeah.
They win the All Valley tournament.
That's right.
That was do you remember that was the name of the tournament, the All Valley?
No, I know.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, but the students don't end up not getting a girlfriend, like the way that Daniel-san does.
Yeah, but who cares about girls when you're winning at autocross? Am I right?
Yeah. But if you don't do well, Ed will also kick the crap out of you.
It's literally Cobra Kai. Do you remember? Do you remember curse or whatever? He's like.
Yeah, I said, Ed, why are you telling your student to sweep the leg? You're supposed to break your kneecaps.
Yeah, it's a so for those of you that don't know what a HPD is, it's non-competitive. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not winning a trophy.
You can be the national champion.
You're not getting season points for your championship. Okay. Yeah. It's to learn how to drive safely and the flag.
That's right. My student never loses. No. Okay, we're not talking. It's not that kind of mentor.
It's not that kind of mentor. Not yet. Not yet. Anyways.
Right.
The next kind of mentor that I want to talk about, and this is the most fun, but not the best, is the schools and at the events. Period. There's no second question to that. But your friends, you can have friends that you maybe someone in your class that's been doing it for a long time, right? You're a novice, you're kind of new to this. The guy's got a similar kind of car, or the lady has a similar kind of car, and they're crushing you, right? 10 seconds, 12 seconds, they're lighting you up. Guess what? That could be a really good mentor. Talk to them, become their friends, be friendly. Don't just bombard with questions, right? Like, because there's a different way to approach it. There's a subtlety to it, right?
Yeah. So the number one thing is bring a Chick-fil-A, what do you call it? Cookie and cream milkshake.
Oh my God. Immediate friends. The problem,
guarantee you can have many mentors after that.
Danny, the problem with that is that all the events you're talking about, most of these autocross events happen on Sundays. Yeah, that's the only problem with that.
Well, I mean, that shows the effort. No,
it's a day and a half old milkshake for you.
Yeah. And the other way to guarantee to have a good mentor is if you come in with your Ferrari.
Oh, well.
Guarantee mentor finder.
Oh my God, I love it.
Right, so obviously don't listen to me. Ada's one that's giving you all the important, accurate information.
No. Pitch in, Danny, because this you've seen this. You've been so many people's mentors. I'm serious about you being my mentor, but you've also been a mentor to so many people from the karting years to the car years and today. Like this, we're talking. You've been a mentor for.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm the mentor. I'm probably more of a I'm the group leader for fun.
That's literally a mentor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but none of my mentorees are driving Ferraris. So I need to make sure that that's happening at some point.
That's true. Yeah. I guess you gotta step up your.
I had enough Miata
mentorship. You gotta step up your mentorship.
Mentorship.
How come all your mentees have like slow cars?
I got enough. I had enough Miata minions.
Miata minions. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Danny, do you have any advice for how someone should approach someone else to be like a mentor, a friend, a helper?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing is maybe this is a little bit old fashioned, right?
Yeah,
but
talk to me.
But when I approach and ask questions, I listen to the answer, right? And I really try to dissect or understand the reason. If I don't understand it, I ask for, can you clarify it and all that stuff? And so to make sure that if you ask somebody a question, you want to make sure you understand it, not just you assume that that's what they're saying, Yeah. And so that's number one. And then make sure that after you've, asking for that advice, make sure you thank them.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just thank them. The worst way to find a mentor is you go to someone and say this is and that. And when they give you the answer, then you argue with them. Plenty of those guys, man.
You sure? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Yeah. Don't ask any questions unless you are serious about listening to an answer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're asking for somebody just simply to kind of stroke your ego or agree with you,
that's the opposite.
That's the opposite.
We're not trying to do. No one.
Yeah. That's the worst way to make a friend, right? So when you ask for a mentor, put yourself in a student position from a learning perspective, and then anyone. I mean, I haven't met anyone where. When I walk over and say, hey, what do you think about this? Right. Mm-hmm. I might get 10 different answers. Right.
Yeah.
But there's always a reason why a person will answer like that. I've never gotten an answer when I ask sincerely that I got a response, just kind of, jerk you around, it's always that person's best effort.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So that's the great thing about this community where everybody will do their best to help each other out.
It really is the best part.
Yeah. So looking for a mentor is a good thing, right? Personally, I had several guys that kind of dragged me along to do different things, but some of them were initiated by them, but to kind of help me out. But majority of the time, it was me sincerely asking for help, regardless if the person was younger or older or whatever.
Right. And age, that's a great point, actually, you brought up, Danny.
Yeah.
Age is relative, right? What is your age versus how long you've been?
No, in this competition has nothing to do with anything.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people that does it for a year and he's awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I've seen guys that does it for 30 years. They're not as fast as the person that's done it for 40
I haven't done it for 30 years. I take offense to that, but I appreciate you.
But everybody has different sets of understanding on how this hobby is supposed to be, right? So I would have no reservation to go ask Marcus and say, hey man, did you floor through that slalom?
Yeah, of course. Right. Exactly. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And And then he would tell me yes. And then Marcus know me well enough and say, well, this is where I started getting backsiding and where. Right. He will actually tell me how he does it.
That's amazing. Yeah. And that's another beautiful part of the community.
Yeah. So I think in that situation, it's a information exchange between friends. Right. But it's kind of like a mentorship.
It is. Though.
I mean, like a,
especially if you're a novice, Danny, you're not going to have that level of back and forth that say you and Marcus have. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. But the thing is, anytime when you start getting advice from people who are experienced, right?
Yeah.
Use that as an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Once you build a good report, and even though the person who's answering the questions that they don't know or didn't realize, they're in fact your mentor already, right?
Yep.
So there's very, very many opportunities for things like that.
That's awesome.
But your idea about going to a school and then find your instructor, and then after that, you just say, hey, I have questions. Can you help me?
Yep.
Can we walk the course together or something like that? That happens all the time, right? So, I mean, there's always opportunities for me. I mean, especially if I instructed someone, if that person come to me, I would always try to help, right? Because I don't want them to sweep somebody else's leg or chop somebody's head off like Ed.
Oh my goodness.
Because my student has to win, right? But you know what? If you win, I'm very happy.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, Danny, let's wrap this segment up. This has been really good, and I feel like it's been good and short. So to recap real quick, go to an autocross school. Turn on your hazards. Ask for some help at an event, any event. It doesn't matter who's putting it on. Ask for some help. They'll send someone to help. And then be a Daniel son. Find your Mr. Miyagi, but be a Daniel son. Respectful, kind.
That's right.
Wax on, wax off.
Wax on, wax off. Well, if you ask me to be a mentor, you go wash my car first.
Oh!
Okay, with that, we'll wrap up our 24th episode of the DMV Autocross Podcast. And again, we hope you find this fun and enjoyable and informative.
Yep. And don't forget to join us for the next episode. And until then, keep those tires on the track and that wing in the back.
The wing is coming.
I think it means like don't spin out. I think that's what we're trying to say, right? Like
don't spin out.
Wing in the back. So you don't want the wing in the front because that just means you're going.
No, I mean I had my wing in the front at Time Trial Nationals one time. That wasn't fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next time.
I love it.
All right.
All right. See you, Danny.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.